It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin, he can hit them, and he does. The Dolphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast and another defeat to talk about. Sadly, this time against High Flyers Southampton. 12 points is now the gap between the Millers and safety. It's probably too much. But we'll talk that, see what everybody else thinks. We'll talk about the game, a few incidents to cover. If there's any Southampton fans listening, Mick will upset you. So stick around for that. Well, yeah, we'll go through what we've got. Mick, how are you doing first of all? Football aside, how are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. Thank you. Apart from the football, yeah. Are you?
Yeah, other than football. Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to hear it.
Danny, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, everything outside of football's going really well, but it's just a shame that Rotherham play the football that they do. But well,
it's his own fault for supporting this club. To be fair,
yeah.
We've only got ourselves to blame. I was thinking about this earlier. Last season we were going, why can't we have a really boring season where it's all over by March? Well, we're getting it, guys. We're getting that season. Just not quite the one we wanted. Georgie says we think we're down with it about that. YouTube users, Sarah Ogden, Martin Hahn, Graham Linda, Power Mad, Kelbert are all with us and plenty more. Holly wants to say hi, lads, especially Danny, who me and my mum Nikki finally met at the Southampton game. We were all Jimmy Leeds fans.
Pleasure to meet you both. Just a shame about the result.
Was this before or after you were super excited about the beer machine?
More or less just after. I think I still had the fresh new beer in my hand at that point as well. But yeah, I think it was still 2-0 at that point, so we just didn't pull it round. But yeah, pleasure to meet both you and your mum, Holly.
Harry says Richardson out, Tony Stewart out, Sam Todd out, Miller Bear out, get the cook out, get the security guards out, get them all out. Let's start again.
Get us out.
What?
Get us out.
Get us out of the club. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We asked on Twitter for people's positives for any moments that made you smile. We've got some. A few people mention the anthem. Kim Minks and Donna mentioned. Donna says definitely the anthem. We've been singing it every week in the ground in the north, but not always together. So she said it gave her goosebumps and helped the atmosphere for until she up for 3 minutes. Yeah. Ryan Cudworth says when the offside flag went up after 5 seconds into the game, that was a nervous laugh. Yeah. Chris says Peter Coastal playing fantastic despite him apparently not wanting to play. He doesn't want to play, does he?
No, I don't know why people keep banging on about how well he played. He don't want to be here.
No. My funny moment was nothing to do with the game. We went with a little girl, she's got a bucket hat, and she lifted it up, and it looked like she was wearing a sailor's hat, and made me laugh out loud that it looked so stupid. That's what kind of game it was. That's the kind of positivity that I'm bringing from it. Danny, your positivity was the beer machine, wasn't it? Your moment.
Yeah, it was.
Beer.
Well, it's San Miguel, so it's the same old £5.50. But no, just because I'm a technology nut, the whole thing of like it depressurizes the cup, fills your pint, and then repressurizes it all in the machine, etc. So at least we've catching up a little bit with fan service on the concourse, which is nice. And I've also noticed a slight loophole with the new beer machine as well. You know how normally the kiosks close for the second half, and so you can't get served. Yeah. Now you can still get beer throughout the entire game. So I don't know if it's yeah, that's the main selling point. Now you can get a beer from however long it is before the game, right up until the end of the game, because nobody checks it, which is ace.
They will now.
Yeah, it's sending us down a little bit easier, I think, if they keep that in place.
Yeah. John Morell says his funniest moment was me posting my positivity in regards to getting a result in the Discord before the match. Stupid. But we've got to win at some point. I was just thinking we might finally do it. Yeah, I don't know where to start. Let's start with where it leaves us.
What about my funny moment?
Oh, apologies. You've already, before we started, you didn't have one.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 minutes, you managed to think of one?
Well, no, to be fair, I didn't think it was funny to start with, but I've been thinking back, I think it is now. We spent all week moaning and groaning about this playlist that we're going to put on before game, and everybody's moaning about it. And then so they play all these songs and then interrupt every single one of them with an announcement, which seemed pointless, really.
Yeah, they did. I agree. That was a bit crazy. Paula Rhodes' highlight was Jerry Forrest doing the halftime draw. You missed that, Mick. You missed Jerry Forrest.
Yeah, I love Jerry Forrest. Top fella.
Yeah. Let's start where it leaves us, Mick. We're 12 points adrift. Huddersfield battered Sheffield Wednesday, which should, on its own, is normally a funny thing.
Yeah.
Sadly, it puts us 12 points adrift. 4 wins away from being level. Probably another point on that because of goal difference. We're not happy. We don't try to be happy clubs, but we try to be positive. You can't really put any positive spin on our current situation, really, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, difficult as it's been all season to try and put a positive spin on the way that we've been going, it makes it even more difficult now. There's not a lot you can say. We just got to get us heads down, see how close we can get. That's it, really, isn't it? We've got no choice. Got no choice. We are where we are now because of what's happened in the past, and I'm sure at the end of the season, when we do a sort of review of the season, we'll be able to come up with many reasons as to why we are where we are. But in the meantime, we've just got to try and enjoy it. Get what we can take from the rest of the season, and start rebuilding for next. But it's not. I mean, mathematically, obviously, it's nowhere near. So just keep plugging away, see what happens. But it's looking pretty grim as we sit at the moment.
Yeah, it's one of those that Shelley says here, you need 4 wins without others. That makes it a lot worse. So when you're at 9 points. If you can somehow string 2 wins together, you're back within 3 or 4 points, and that's on. If you win 2 games now, you're still at least 6 points behind the guys in front. So you need to win 3 on the bounce to make it slightly interesting. And we've won 3 games all season. It's just so completely unrealistic that we're going to make it even slightly interesting, I think.
Yeah, I think as well, because we were 9 points and it was, still a few games ago and it was just ticking over at 9 points. It's like we could somehow, still try and claw this back. Whereas now we've looked at 12 and we've just ticked into February. It makes it even more of a tall order. I don't agree with the people saying Richardson out already. I know. I know some people say it tongue in cheek, but at the same time, we said this after the game, didn't we? I think our objective now is to bloody as many notes as we can in this league and still put in a good account of ourselves and just see where it leaves us. And you never know, Richardson might be the first manager to win us a league title since. That's one for in the comments. How long is it since Robin won like one title?
91-ish, early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah, so Richardson might be the one to do that next season, but I'm getting too far ahead of myself right now. But yeah.
Well, just a bit too far in front.
Yeah, but I'm optimistic for next season now. I've written off this season already. We're now on the optimism for next season, and that's what helps me sleep at night, lads.
I like it.
Yeah, but that's where we are. We look so far ahead to get any kind of positivity. Harry asked if to come Wednesday relegators. I think nothing they can. I think it'll be early April, the earliest I would have expected. Late March, early April, I would have expected. But that's the kind of range we're looking at, I suppose. It's looking grim for us. It's looking really grim for Wednesday as well. It puts them 8 points adrift of Huddersfield as well, which again is a massive gap for them to, as they know all about me, massive gaps and things like that. It's looking like a couple of South Yorkshire derbies next season. That could be fun. Basically with the comments saying the same kind of thing. What we've got to take from it. So Liam Richardson's here, Mick. I don't think anybody realistically thinks there should be a change between now and the end of the season. I personally think it'd be stupid. So what does Liam Richardson need to do? We'll talk about the game in a minute, but between now and May the whatever, is it about trying to install a playing style, even if half of these players are next season, is it about trying to install a bit of a playing style into these players? Is it working out who's good, who's crap, so he wants to offer new contracts for? Is it setting a standard? What's aim number one now that survival's kind of off the table?
Well, survival's not off the table. It's not, because mathematically,
I know what you mean.
So you don't. There's no way that you're going to start saying he's going to start saying, "Look, we're down. Let's."
Oh, not in public. No,
you know what I mean.
Give it to players, but mentally,
it's about instilling some confidence into this team, because I still don't subscribe to the point of view that the players that we have in this squad are not good enough for this division. I don't subscribe to it. I just don't. Many of them have played in this division to a high level and to a high standard previously. So I'm not buying it still. The issue has been confidence. The issue has been tactics under the previous regime, and probably personal battles, I guess, if that's the right term, between management and players. I don't think that there's any sort of confidence of any kind running through this squad. So his job really is to just, like Danny said earlier on, let's bloody a few noses, see what happens. Nothing will happen. I think the reality of it is, and we've all supported football long enough to know that from this position, it's virtually impossible to get out of at this stage of the season, given what's gone before this season. So we're realistic, but I'm not waving the white flag, not yet, and I won't until it's absolutely nailed on, positive, impossible for us to stay here. But I'm also realistic, But from Liam Richardson's point of view, he's got to have one eye on next season. Clearly, any talk of sacking him is like you said, is just stupid. It is stupid, and we're getting the same comments, aren't we, that we've had previously, that he's boring, he's not interesting, and I didn't realise that were a qualification that you needed to have to be a manager. It's obviously missed that one, but he will do a good job. He will do a good job, but again, we keep saying, and we've said it for many, many years, and it takes time, and unfortunately, things keep changing for us in terms of managers and everything else, but. He's got to instill some confidence in this team, and just like I said, bloody some noses, cause some problems.
I do think we can see that Richardson has instilled some sort of confidence in the squad, because no matter which way you swing it, we have improved defensively. All right, fair enough, we are still conceding goals, but that's just the nature of how we are this season. However, since Richardson's come in, we have been a lot better. And I'm seeing people in the comments about like one up front at home, etc., etc. But it's because he's trying to match up against teams that effectively, monetary wise and squad depth wise, have no right to be able to compete with us in the same division. But yet here we are, and he's tried to match up against it, and that's probably why we had one up top against Southampton, because it was about trying to match them up as best we could. But as we said on the post-match, it was probably a case of Russell Martin working us out better than we worked them out. And some people have said, yeah, maybe we should just go for it for the rest of the games. But then that just plays into what you've just said, Mick. There is no white flag yet. There's no white flag until the R is next to our name in the league table. So why would Richardson line up in a different way than what he thinks would make us competitive when we are still being competitive right up until the last game of the season? Because that's just the nature of football. We were competitive right up until the last day of the season in the horrific season with 23 points, but we still competed until the end of the season, because, if you're down tools in football, then it's not a competition anymore. It's not a competitive league. It's just a friendly, And so by him matching up and trying to compete with the bigger teams and against the odd situation which we do find ourselves in, if he doesn't try and compete with that, then you'll never get confidence in the squad. But I think by still trying to be competitive, the squad will gain confidence. Like, we are still good players, and that also plays into the bloodied noses aspect that we talked about, where if we do go out and bloody some noses, it's still a confidence booster for the squad. And yeah, in the long run, it might not make a difference this season, but any players that are still with Richardson next season, it will make a big difference. It feels like it's a longer game at this point, which it is. It's a longer game. If football was a one-season thing, everything just stopped, then, clubs would fold and players would never play football again. But it feels like it's a longer plan. That's the vibe I get. It's a longer plan, and we've just got, the mucky end of the stick as it stands at the moment. But that's me.
Yeah, a few people mentioned the quality of the players and think like what you just mentioned, Mick. I think individually these players are good enough. They are good enough. Sean Morrison is good enough to play at this level. Cameron Humphries is more than good enough. Cohen Bramall's probably that's questionable. Ollie Rathbone on his day is capable. Teehe's capable. Nombe is capable. Hugo, when he stays on his feet, is capable. There's an issue in tactics, obviously, previously, and positivity and confidence in the team. For me, there's not a question on quality of player particularly. Maybe one or two instances, but the issue is everything else that surrounds the club at the minute. But anyway,
what I would say is, and a lot of people in the comments are saying the same thing, and they're right. It's all about the attacking intent, and there is none. And we'll go into the game in a bit, but you saw as soon as we put the ball in the box, we caused problems, but we're not doing it. We're not doing it anywhere near as much as we did under Warney. I mean, that was all that Warney was about. Get the ball in the box, cause some problems. Matt Taylor was completely the opposite. He almost, I don't know whether he banned it in training or what, but it was just there was just no way that ball was going into the box. Liam Richardson, well, the jury's out at the moment. When we do get the ball in the box, we're dangerous wherever we are, whether we're home or away, and we've proved that. But it's not being done enough. Possibly Cohen Bramall might be one of the issues there in his ability to cross the ball and from that left hand side. But Kioso, he's more than happy to do it. So it is the attacking intent ultimately.
Yeah, it is. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the start, Danny. I know you missed the goal, but because you're enjoying the beer machine. But instantly for me, it was, I don't know what we were trying to do. We were playing a really, really high line against a Russell Martin team, which just blew my mind completely. I think he was trying to make the midfield congested to make them to force them out wide, but all it did was just allow them. We saw within 5 seconds, whatever it was, he could have timed his run and been in there. He timed it very badly when he was a mile offside, but within 5 seconds, you could see that we had set up completely wrong defensively, and that's how the second goal came, because that setup was completely wrong. I spotted it within a minute. I'm sure everybody else did. It was such a wrong way defensively to set up for me. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, like I said, Richardson settles up how he thought we could counter Southampton best, whereas Southampton set up in a way that, just countered our counter effectively, which as much as we like to give Russell Martin grief, especially Mick, it was a perfect chess move from him, I thought. And it's put us on the back foot straight away. We've talked about confidence, obviously. If you've been put on the back foot within 5 seconds, whatever confidence you had has gone straight out the window. And that's probably played into us conceding within the opening 4 minutes as well. Yeah. But again, I think it's we've talked about Richardson wanting to change things, but I think it's been such a bad light shone on his decision making. If we'd have changed things within the first 20 minutes and gone, we've
all you need to do is step back. Just tell yourself, stick 10 yards back or whatever.
Exactly, just 10 yards back. Just keep it at arm's length and basically just rejig yourself and go again. But again, that plays into what Russell Martin did. I don't really think he gave us time to just keep them at arm's length and just back off a little bit until probably later in the first half, potentially, and after they'd already scored, which was when Hugo went close and just missed the bar, wasn't it? around 13 minutes or so.
Wait, Cafu went ahead, isn't
Well,
it?
something like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if it's within the first 5 seconds, like, don't get me wrong, I was late to the game. So if we've set up so negatively in terms of how Southampton was approaching the game, then questions do need to be asked, I think. But Richardson is still learning on the job. That's my opinion.
It was really. I don't know what you think, but I thought it was incredibly naive to set up that kind of way. You've got Shea Adams. He's not going to do 100 meters in 9 seconds, but he's a quick player. Ryan Fraser is not quick, but he's a very, very clever footballer. Adam Armstrong, who can run from deep and spot these runs and can make that runs. You're just inviting, please put the ball over the top and run to it. It's not why we conceded the first goal, obviously, but
it's why we conceded the second goal.
It's why we conceded the second goal, exactly.
And the absolute irony of conceding a long ball goal to set up to a Russell Martin team is it's not lost on me. I don't know whether it's lost on anybody else, but it's certainly not lost on me. And that's exactly right. We were so high up. And the way to create problems for Russell Martin's teams is to press. Every single time we pressed them yesterday, when it wasn't very many, they made a mistake. They put the ball out of play, or they miscontrolled, or whatever. They made plenty of mistakes, and we weren't pressing enough in order to capitalise on them. You're right. He's trying to condense the pitch, but unfortunately, if you're going to do that, you've got to have the pace at the back, and you've got Sean Morrison in there who hasn't got that pace. So had we got Hacks and Cam Humphreys in there, then and possibly Colin Bramall with that pace, then potentially you could perhaps utilise that. But you've got to have something in front of that. And in front of that has to be the press to stop those balls coming through, and it wasn't there, unfortunately. So
no, it wasn't. All right. Let's go with that comment. John Miles Richardson has always been a defensive counter-attacking manager. I don't see why suddenly changing it. That high line was opposite to that, wasn't it? That wasn't what it. Yeah, and again, I'm stuck on one point, I suppose here, but Chile agrees with us on that one. Martin Wright says, play to our strengths, why we're playing 3 centre-backs and have done for the last 2 months. I have no idea. The only position we have any depth is central midfield. 4 at the back with a 4 in diamond and a 2 up top will be the way to go for Matt Wright. We'll come on to some other performances which play into the system. But let's cover the first goal, Danny. I know you missed it, but I'm sure you watched it back. Sloppy. Just really, really sloppy. I mentioned this on the instant reaction last night. You've got to do better than that. You've got to do the basics right. And it was just amateurish, that defensive corner.
Yeah, now I've watched it back, I'm inclined to agree, but the vibe I'm getting is quite a lot on confidence, like I've just mentioned about Southampton putting us on the back foot straight away and not being able to keep them at arm's length and go again ourselves. That's where the sloppiness comes from. I believe it's a sloppy clearing header. I can't remember which player.
I think it was Hugo. I'm not sure though.
Whichever player it was a sloppy defensive clearance. It's one of those where it's just like the desperate effort to get rid of it straight away. That if it's another game, Hugo might leave it and someone else might clear it out the box, and send it more towards halfway line or into a stand or whatever. But he don't get a good connection on it. The Southampton player does, and 1-0 down. But if memory serves, I believe it took them longer to score at New York than it did at St Mary's.
Something.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah. Well, that's all right then. See, just clipping the wings of optimism, lads. It's like, we've got 1-0 down in 4 minutes. We went 1-0 down after 2 minutes at Southampton. So, and I hear 2 minutes makes all the difference sometimes as well.
Yeah. Caleb says it was Revan. With the flick on.
The clearance. The clearance is only part of the issue, isn't it? Yeah. The second part of the issue is who's marking the lad who scored, and the answer is nobody, because we're doing this sort of partial zonal marking from corners still, which I can't get my head around that. It's pointless. It does not work. It's been proved so many times, hasn't it? Time and time and time again, it does not work. And because what happens is you always end up with a man free.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. It was a poor clearance and absolutely no marking. It's just we gifted them the goal from that. There is no way at this level we should be conceding goals like that from a corner. Not on this earth. It's really poor.
And you can't be giving teams like Southampton, Leeds, who we're going to play next week. We mentioned this. You can't give them a leg up, because if you give them a leg up, the game's gone. The game's done. You can't be doing that. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then comes the second goal, Mick. I found a comment from Richardson in the post-match from Paul Davis' article quite interesting. He said, "I can accept if people make a mistake if it's a technical error, but I can't accept people not working hard. You have to make the recovery runs, win your races, your tackles."
Yes,
recovery runs is the one I'm going to zero in on there.
Yeah,
because Hacks did a decent job. He did his best. He was on his own, and he did a good job of pushing. Can't remember who it was, whether it was Fraser. I think it was Fraser wide, and then nobody else runs back. You watch the replay, and I've only watched a couple of replays. You've got Sean Morrison not almost walking back. Everybody else is just sauntering back. They should be sprinting. And Adam Armstrong sprinted. He did exactly what he should have done. It was really good. Great striker's instinct.
Yeah.
But I felt so sorry for Hacks. I felt sorry for Victor, because there's got to be more than that. There's got to be.
I mean, it's woeful defending that, isn't it? It's absolutely woeful. They've got so much time. The ball comes to whoever it was that back earlier, Fraser, I think. It came over the top from a defender. It came from a defender. How much time do you need to see what the problem is? It's just, and honestly, it's schoolboy that. And as you say, the commitment for players to make those recovery runs, as Liam Richardson calls it, it's not acceptable. And if I'm manager, I am absolutely throwing teacups and air dryers at half time for that. It's an absolute disgrace. And we've gifted Southampton 2 goals. We've given them 2 goals. We might as well just allow them to walk it in. You know what I mean? And why? It's just, I don't know. I'm not putting it down to confidence. You've got to be better than that. You've got to be better than that.
That's a want, that, isn't it? That's not a confidence. That's a want.
It's desire. Yeah, it's desire. Absolutely. I mean, I guess if we're being really harsh, Victor will be kicking himself because he arguably got enough on that to save it, and it's squirmed underneath him. But he shouldn't be having to make that save.
No.
And like I said earlier on about the irony of conceding a long ball goal to a Russell Martin team. It just kind of puts pin out on it. It's like Russell Martin putting 2 fingers up at us, isn't it, and laughing after everything I've said about him.
I'm surprised he didn't kick you out in crowd and point at you.
Yeah, fair play. I would have put my hand up. I'll shake your hand on that one, Russell, because that is, you can't do that.
No, you can't. You've got to at least try. No, if somebody gets back and they still score a goal, you can half accept it because they've made those runs. They've done it.
Yeah.
But that was just not good enough. And that's the thing, Danny. That's the thing where we talk about people mention the comments about quality. There's no question of quality from the defenders in that goal. The question there is not wanting to do your job properly. That's not a quality issue, and that's what I think that's what I'm trying to make on here. That they should be wanting to get back quicker than that, and that's the problem, that they're not wanting to do that, or not seeming to be wanting to do that.
Yeah, that's something that I picked up on watching the replay, and I can understand Richardson's comments after seeing that. Adoffin is working his arse off to try and stop. Was it Fraser that had the ball at the time? Was it Fraser who scored the goal? So he's working his arse off trying to stop Fraser, and there is no one around him within camera frame, which is a good 10 yards or so at that distance, other than Fraser on the ball and was it Armstrong the goal
Armstrong
scorer.
scored it, yeah.
Yeah, and he comes steaming in, and then suddenly Morrison appears, but he's about 5 yards behind him.
Yeah.
And you know, in football, we don't point fingers because it's a developing thing. The ball could have been stopped before that, whether it was from the long ball attempt or with a doffing, or with Victor pushing it round the post, if we're being hypercritical. But the spotlight certainly comes onto Morrison, and it might have been Peltier, it might have been somebody else, being 5 yards behind the defenders. I don't know whether it's a confidence thing of we've got plenty left in the game, we can sort this out later, or if it's just a lack of we'll leave a doffing to sort it. And like Richardson says, that's the bit that's frustrating. And that's the recovery run side of it. If you're not making your recovery runs as a defender, it doesn't matter how old you aren't doing your job properly. And I think at least, if I put a percentage on it, maybe 75% of the blame for that second goal does fall at Morrison's feet, because he's not done the recovery run required to at least challenge Armstrong. You know, if Armstrong still scores from that position and Morrison has challenged him, right, and put a bit of pressure on him, but he still dug out a shot and scored, fair enough, we can sort of accept it a little bit more. But the fact that Morrison's 5 yards behind him and it's more or less just him on his own, that's where the frustration is built up for it. And like you say, mate, the teacups and all sorts in dressing room, if that's me as a manager, because it's from a player of Morrison's calibre and experience, that's him not doing his job properly. And as a captain, he should be leading by example and having a hyper focus on doing his job properly.
The Pelts as well. I don't know where I don't know where Pelts was for that as well, because that's Pelts' side where the ball ended up going. But like Mick said earlier, this is what happens when you have to play Sean Morrison, Lee Peltier in the back three. There's no pace there. But yeah, it's frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
But on the upside, Cam Humphries is back on the bench, which is massive. It's huge, but it's 6 games too late.
Would you have brought him on? And I wouldn't have done, because the game's almost gone. Being in a centre half doesn't really help. No. And if he comes on and does something, you're just kicking yourself for 20 minutes of football in a game that's done. No,
there's no way I'm bringing him on. No way at all. Under those circumstances, 0-0, maybe a different matter. You know.
Are you as well, Danny? Same.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Mick with this one.
Yeah, me too. I agree completely. Craig says, problem is Rotherham is an easy place to come. There's no physicality, no atmosphere. That team's a soft touch. The team and manager should hate coming to New York Stadium, but it just isn't the case anymore. Earlier this season, they didn't like it. Now it's a bit softer, sadly. Let us pick a positive. Patrick Clinton says, it's the best ref we've seen in a long time. Sunny Singhil, I think was his name. Excellent referee. Didn't take no crap from either team. Let the game flow for the most part. Didn't have any big decisions to make, I don't think, to be fair. If we but it was, I'm very happy to see him back there at New York Stadium again, which we don't see that very often when referees come to town, do we?
I think it's a requirement to be a Premier League referee these days. You have to get the New York Talk seal of approval.
Correct.
And he's got it now, so he'll be a Premier League ref next season.
Because Mike's in the comments, can I just say that Mike, that is everything that I've asked of a referee all season and for many, many seasons. He was top draw, absolutely top draw. And like you say, he took no messing from any of the players. He was consistent across the board. His decision making was excellent. Given a couple of throw-ins that went awry, but I think that were more down to the linesman than the ref. He's quite an imposing figure as well, excellent referee. Clip that, Mike, because it don't happen very often. But yeah, top draw. Yeah.
Jorel says, you've been crap when we're publicly praising referees. Fair. I thought it was really good.
I mean, we've lost the game, and we're still praising the referee, and whatever, I don't know, but no, he was excellent, really, really good, and I'll have him every week without a doubt. win, lose or draw. I'll have him every week.
So anyone says that we're more inclined to berate a referee when they've lost, gone against that.
There's one example.
Yeah.
Farmer says I don't like it when this Mickle loves referees. don't worry about it. I don't know who ref is next week, but I'm sure we can fix that away at Ellen Road, can't we?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Dave Scurrin says he feels sorry for us because we've all aged about 10 years this season.
The
thing is, we're used to it, aren't we? I was speaking to a Wednesday fan last year. We currently hold first and third on the lowest points total in the championship, with 23 and 29, I think. There's potentially a third entry coming this season.
First, second, and third.
First, second, fourth, with whatever. So yeah, we're used to this. We're used to the nonsense of being rubbish. Matt Mill says, clipped, very good ref, but here's me complaining about a poor decision not to play advantage to us in the second half when he stopped play to book players. Yes, I agree with that. I didn't. It was Klukas.
The important bit though, he booked one of their players. That's the important bit of that sentence.
I think to counter that, arguably it was a mistake, but referees will make mistakes, and I'm not trying to be smart here. I'm not saying he got 100% of his decisions correct, because he didn't, but he was consistent. That's all we ask as supporters. Please just be consistent. And he wasn't giving the stupid Jordan Hugo falling on floor fouls all the time, either for us or for them. Which has to be commended for me, absolutely.
Let's come on to a positive performance before we come on to a couple of negatives. Arguably, Danny, the most baffling transfer decision of recent times was letting Peter Kioso go out on loan to Peterborough.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he didn't want to play, though. Just don't forget, everybody. He's refusing to play. But Peter Kioso was my man of the match. I know Victor pulled off a couple of good saves, and I don't know whether this is me taking Victor for granted, but I thought Kioso was excellent. He was everything I wanted in right wing back. He was winning fouls when he needed to. When he got himself in a bad position, he won a foul. It was bombing on, trying to win headers in the box. When somebody was crossing the ball, he crossed the ball 3 or 4 times, something like that as well. It clearly took his toll on him, because I think he was struggling towards the end, which is to be expected. It's a step up for playing at Peterborough to playing at a decent level. I just thought it was excellent. I just thought he's what we've been crying out for.
I love that little jib at Peterborough at the end. Yeah, but no, I completely agree. I think if you take Lemmy Keeser and Kioso and put say Lemmy Keeser's best performance against Kioso's performance against Southampton, and I still think Kioso's better, because he's effectively what we've needed in a right back. He's strong in his tackles, and he can win tackles and not get muscled off the ball. Like I say, he bombs forward, he gets crosses into the box. All right, maybe accuracy, but that's the story of our season again. But at times he was further forward than Hugo was, trying to, effectively kick the game on a little bit. Whether this is the desire to, not play for us ever again after this season, force a move somewhere else, or he legitimately cares and wants to put a shift in. He legitimately cares about his football and wants to do well. And yeah, I think if it wasn't for Victor pulling off some stunning saves in that game and effectively keeping the score as it was, Kioso would have been man of the match. And I don't think it's going to be too much longer until Kioso gets man of the match. And yeah, he's just kicked on really well. Like you say, it's probably took his toll on him, the intensity step up. But it just highlights how much of a silly decision it was to let him go. I mean, a lot of people said, why has he gone out on loan? And I personally think it must have been a personality clash, a clash of ideologies or something. And that's why he went. But Richardson's brought him back, got a look at him and just gone, yeah, he needs to play. And I wasn't surprised in the slightest to see him start either. So again, we've sort of pulled it back from oblivion and found a positive again, haven't we, lads?
We do that. Look, I'm not saying it would have made much of a difference because the rest of the team play a part, but there were a lot of mistakes that Dexter made that, based on that 90 minutes I saw yesterday, Kioso wouldn't have made. Losing ball in key areas, things like that. It was just brilliant.
It's almost as though he's a more experienced player, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
who's strong going forward, strong at back, good in the air, and puts balls in box. I mean, what else would you need from a wing back? Well, we'll let him go out on loan and bring in a 19-year-old who's not had a full season at top level or at any level, and that is not a dig at Dexter Lembakisa, because he is going to be a player. He is going to be some player, that lad, But unfortunately, Matt Taylor threw him into the sort of the deep end, if you like, and unfortunately, he came up wanting. But that's not a surprise, given his age and his experience. Why would he not? That Matt Taylor made quite a few mistakes during his tenure, but that by far and away outstripped any of them. By letting Peter Kiosa go out on loan, just a bizarre decision.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think Kiosa's going to get caught out defensively a few times because he likes to bomb on. Don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. If you're going to be positive and create the positive actions that the managers talk about, don't mind you getting caught out occasionally. If it's every week, then we've got the conversation about, haven't we? But I thought, it was what we were looking for, what we have been looking for, should I say? Sorry. And to mention that the young kid came on from United. He looked okay. I think it looked, from the 10 minutes we saw, it looked a good deputy for Kioso. I'm sure we'll need a deputy.
Called it, by the way.
Say again?
Called it, by the way. When we announced him, called it.
Yeah. Let's talk about some other performances that were less sparkling. Jordan Hugo, Mick. Getting frustrating. Yeah, it's particularly yesterday was really, really frustrating. He tried to get himself in a battle with Howard Bellis, which kind of worked for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but then he was giving the ball away. His layoffs were slow or they were too quick. He didn't hold up the ball at all yesterday. That was nowhere. And it just didn't give us a platform. And people complain about one at top at home, and I don't mind one at top at home. It's fine. I don't mind it. It's a valid, for me, it's a valid tactic. But not when you play like that. That's not work. You can't play that person to play like that up top. At home or away. That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I don't want to slate our players. I don't. But unfortunately, he's just not been up to it, has he? He's not been up to it. And he's an experienced footballer who should be able to compete quite easily at this level. And he's just not. It feels like, and I'm not saying that this is the case, it just feels like he's not really interested. He can't be involved in the press because he hasn't got the pace to do that. He has an eye for goal, but his eye for goal feels to me like it's in the wrong places. There were a couple of opportunities yesterday where he had the ball where he could have just a very, very quick, simple pass, a short 2 or 3 yard pass, and it would have opened things up. And he turns into trouble, and he does it quite regularly. That's over and above, obviously, they're desperately trying to win fouls. When the ball does go along, he's more interested in the defender than he is the ball. If he does win the ball, he doesn't tend to find another man with it. It just feels like he's not really engaged in this. He's just kind of treading water almost. I'm not saying that's right. That's just how it comes across to me. I wouldn't have played him yesterday anyway.
No.
I would have had Nombe on from the start just simply because of his pace and the need to be able to press. We had to be able to press a Russell Martin team. You have to, and we didn't do that. We didn't do it, and it starts from the front. And Jordan Hugo is not going to be able to do it. Not without a lot of help. And Cathal, I thought, did really, really well in trying to back him up. But he was ploughing a bit of a lone furrow up there, weren't he, in terms of the press? So I felt a little bit for him, to be fair. But no, he unfortunately, and the chance that he did get with the ball in from Kioso, a striker of his quality has to bury that.
Mm.
I'm sorry, but he has to at least hit the target. And if he hits a target, that's in.
Mm.
And then it's a different game. It's one apiece, and they are fragile. No matter what you say, Southampton have proved this season that they are fragile. And who knows what could have happened from then on? Probably nothing, because we didn't create a great deal else. But neither did they. Neither did they. And I know people are going to argue, oh, they took the foot off the gas. So, well, did they? Did they really? They hit the post. Victor pulled off a couple of good saves. Are you telling me that they'd rather win 2-0 than 5-0? No, not at all. I don't. I'm not saying that I don't think they did. I think we kind of gaffed them a little bit, particularly in the second half. You look at Liam Richardson's games. That is the games that we played since he's been manager. The first half of the games, we just try and stay in games, and that's what we've tried to do, and we've been quite successful at that, away and at home. But in the second half, in the main, not every time, in the main, we tend to be a lot more positive in the second half, and we were yesterday. I'm not convinced that they've got another gear. I don't think Russell Martin has 2 or 3 gears. He does the same thing. He does the same thing time.
He does everything
at
100 mile an hour. He does whatever he wants to at 100%. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But John Hughel's got to score that. He's got to hit the target with that. It was on a plate for him. Not for it wouldn't on a plate for any of us, but for a striker of Hughel's quality and experience, that's got to hit the target.
Well, there's that, and then Shelley says. So there's two. I want to say. Harry says needs to try more. Yeah, Revan, Cafu, Kyoso, all making runs. He's not even in the box. And also we had one from Chris Tedder when Revan shot just before half time. Hugel should have been there for a tap in, but never gambled to get it in. Then Shelley says Hugel's not got no service. What's he supposed to do? He's got plenty. He had plenty of service. He had plenty of help yesterday, Danny. For me, Kyoso's beyond him in attack. Why are you allowing your fault to be further up the pitch than you and trying to attack a ball when you're not? There's no. I'm not buying that he didn't have enough service yesterday. I agree with Mick. I thought Kaffer had a decent game. He's been asked to do a lot of dirty work, Kaffer, which I don't think suits him. But he's doing it, and Hugel's not doing those dirty works. And I don't get it. Loads of people make loads of comments. Nombe's got to be started. You're going to play one up top. It's got to be Nombe. I know he's not the physicality, but he gives you everything else that you need. Everything else.
I disagree. I'd say Nombe does have the physicality for it, and he's
not as physical as Hugel as Harvey.
Yeah, okay. He's not as physical as Hugel is, but he's hardly built like a pencil. He's still going to be in there challenging for the ball. But no, I agree. From what I saw, Hugel had plenty of service, and we were better at being a bit more in Southampton's faces when Nombe came on. I think the balls to the box we were providing sort of gave a little behind the curtain peek of what the plan might be for the rest of the season, which is to have Charlie Wyke in that position. Because obviously Richardson knows his game from his time at Wigan. He's not played too often with him at Wigan for whatever reason, but the balls into the box idea sort of plays into what Richardson did at Wigan, which is why we've signed the young lad from Sheffield United, as cover for Kyoso, but also, in his own words, he's a player who likes to push on and get balls into the box. And all right, Revan needs work on his delivery, but he's starting to do that a bit more as well.
He was good yesterday, Revan, I thought.
Exactly. Kyoso's doing it as well, making those runs, like we say. And maybe sometimes it's not about the service directly to the striker for him to get his head on it and score. Sometimes it's the service in for the striker to upset it and someone latches onto it, which is sort of what Cafu does a little bit. Also, that calls into the question, like the two up top idea, where it could be ex-player and Nombe, for example. So, yeah, I think with Hugel's game, he's echoing a lot of like his attitude with the way it comes across is that he's already like, oh, this team is going to be down next season. That's how it feels anyway, without making the runs into the box. But the players like Nombe and Eves at times when he's been on as well, and some of the players are still like, no, we've still got a fight on our hands here. And I think they're the players now that are putting in the decent performances, but they're also the ones that aren't trying too hard. I still think Ollie's trying too hard. He's trying too hard to change the game himself, which is both a criticism, but not quite a praise, because it shows that he gives two about it, but he's just trying a little bit too hard to do it himself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I agree. We're coming to it. Rathbone in a sec. Shelley says trying to stay in the game is good enough. What first thought, don't concede when you go behind. Bottom of the league, losing, need wins. Something has to change fast. I know what you're saying, but we're playing Southampton. You've got to be smart. You'll see it same next week against Leeds. You've got to try and be smart and try and stay in these games, even if it is at home and it's annoying. You've got to try and stay in those games. There's not much Richardson can do about the lax defending for the first goal. That's down to the individual players. We can talk about obviously the high line, which I didn't like. But staying in the games is what works. It happened. It's what kept us up last year. We stayed in games and picked up points and whatever. So that's fine, but you've got to be better at it, I suppose. Let's talk about Danny mentioned there. Sorry, Mick, about Rathbone. Took Jamie Lindsay into there as well. I don't know what's happened to those two. Jimmy Lindsay might be a one-off, but let's start with Jamie Lindsay. I know Holly's in the comments, so sorry, you won't want to listen to this bit. But I don't know what was wrong with Jamie Lindsay yesterday, but he was well off it. And Rathbone didn't improve. Rathbone. I don't know what's wrong with Rathbone at the minute. I just feel really sorry for him because he looks like just a shadow of himself.
Yeah, Jamie Lindsay just wasn't on it at all. He was a yard behind everything that was going off, and I accept that they were very quick on the ball, and they were able to play around that midfield. But Jamie Lindsay's pretty good with his positioning usually, and is able to sort of mitigate that. And he was just completely off it. I don't know whether he's ill, whether there's been some issue in terms of him expecting to be playing for Wrexham this weekend, and with the transfer window. I don't know, but he was definitely off it. I remember describing Tom Eaves when he first came, having had no match fitness, as having the touch like my garage door. Well, unfortunately, that was Ollie yesterday. Ollie took the garage door mantle yesterday, didn't he? Because everything that came to him just bounced off him. Not sure what the issue is there. Whether there is an issue, whether it's just an off day for both of them or what, I don't know. It weren't great from either of them, to be fair, but it didn't really impact the game, did it?
Not really, no. Holly says Jamie's pace was a bit slow yesterday. Yeah, it was. Harry agrees Lindsay wasn't his best. I went to I had no head turned by Deadpool. He wouldn't be the first person, Danny, would he? They look at Gio last season and a few others, Ben Wiles. You're going to have people that have off days. When your head's not right, when you play Southampton, your head's got to be on it because you'll get punished. And that's kind of what happened. It was off it. But I kind of have faith that Jimmy Lindsay will be back on it next week. And he just seems that kind of guy where he can be affected, but I don't think it'll be for very long.
Yeah, there must have been a lot on his mind heading into that game. And, we're only human. I think we all underperform sometimes when we've got a lot of stuff on our mind, especially in our workplaces. I'm guilty of it, and I work in a pub. Lord knows what it's like for a footballer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think Lindsay's one of those where he'll probably shake it off and be back to, the Jamie Lindsay that we've come to admire quite a lot. Maybe against Leeds because it's a derby, and it's going to be maybe a little bit of a fiery contest, which Lindsay likes. So we'll wait and see. Lindsay to score a hat-trick against Leeds. You've heard it here first.
Holly says, don't think we've found the perfect midfield yet. Need to try the Cardiff guy. Yeah, really love to. Can we just say on transfers, by the way? We did a 3-hour show on Thursday. We did 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and they announced 2 signings after we closed at 11:05.
I reckon they've done it on purpose, I reckon they've had the podcast up in the office on a big telly, and they've just gone, hey, look at these clowns. We've only announced one. We've got 2 more. Let's just wait until after deadline. Ha ha, very funny. We know what you've been up to, But yeah, we must have applied for an extension, surely. Surely something must have held those 2 up for them being announced so late. You know, we announced Charlie White after I'd took the bin down ready for tomorrow, and I've come back and suddenly there's number 3 appeared. I was raging at that because it's just like, well, it's gone midnight, no to happen now. Surprise. But just talking on the White side briefly, that strikes me as, a little bit of a cheeky one from me where, we'll see how he does this season. Richardson will probably go back in for him in the summer.
Yeah, is that a contract?
Yeah.
I suspect Wigan needed. It was on a lot of money when Wigan originally signed him. So I suspect there's a bit of getting off the wage bill. He's one of those players that if you can get him going, he'll score at any level. But you've got to get him going. You've got to get the things doing that we managed the best of him this year potentially. Viva says we were never going to escape from relegation since December. He says the damage was done. However, the future looks good to him. Richardson is if he gets the same backing as last season, we will get back up. Positive, I like it. Matt Miller said, I wonder if we coached on how to advance play from throw-ins. How many times yesterday was no one making themselves available and we had throw-ins, we just stood and watched. And is that a confidence thing or is that another want thing, Nick? You often see this, teams at the bottom of the league, you see players hiding behind the opposition. I'm moving football, but I'm not. I'm just hiding behind this other guy. Yeah. And Mike, bang on that. That's a real feature of this season where people are just hiding, really.
Yeah, confidence, isn't it? Nobody wants to make the mistake, do they? It's certainly how it feels anyway. Not great.
No. It's not great. That's absolutely right. Matt Tiller says gets a lot of sticks as Shelley. He brought Fred in and Liam Richardson got rid of him. Fred at least gave us attacking threat and you could get excited when he got the ball and then he got forward. He's injured. He wouldn't have been available for at least another 6 weeks. And the thought was, I think, that they could get somebody else in. Didn't get anybody else in, although we sort of did. But, yeah, championship in it, it's fun. Anything else we need to cover, to be honest with you? It's just... We've got another 3 months, this, guys.
Yeah, but the pressure might be off pretty soon. I mean, it's almost off now, isn't it? The pressure only comes back on if we win next 2 games, which we're not going to do. Leeds and Ipswich away. I accept we're not going to win them.
Hull.
But
Leeds away, Hull at home.
Yeah, win the next 2 games, and all of a sudden pressure's back on because we're only 6 points away. Nah, it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. That was a joke, just for the purposes of anybody who wants to give me some stick for that. But yeah, just enjoy it. These are the times that make the good times even better.
Yeah, I suppose you take a season this for another Kelly moment, wouldn't you, Danny?
No, he's not here anymore.
No, but you'd take another one. By the way, let's finish on this, because the Georgie Kelly news sort of hit us like a ton of bricks on deadline day. So let's just cover this off, Danny, because I know Georgie Kelly's an average footballer. And I know he's probably at best a League One player. And I know all this. And you can all talk to me about all this. But I've gutted when he left. Just because of the person and what he's done did for the club only briefly. It was just an absolute shock that he's gone. And we're all going to miss Georgie. Even if it was only for 10 minutes per game and the rest of the season, we're all going to miss that. Yeah,
I agree. I'm going to miss, like you say, just the person that he is. I think that's the biggest blow of why he's gone. And the moments that we associate with Georgie. I mean, we might be a bit lucky and we don't have to play him next season because Carlisle, like us, are also bottom of the league. But, maybe that might be a little bit of a saving grace. I wouldn't really want to see him line up against us, to be fair. But I also get why he has gone. And unfortunately, Richardson's had to come in and do what most new managers do and make decisions that the fans don't like, one of which is getting rid of Georgie on a permanent. But again, I can see why it's sort of freed up the space for White to come in for a player that, let's face it, wouldn't really get many minutes in the Championship for the rest of the season. So I think it's a move that sort of, looking at it from the broader perspective, probably benefited Georgie more than it would have benefited us because Georgie needs to go out and play, and I think he will with Carlisle. And hopefully he cracks on and his career keeps going from strength to strength, because it went from strength to strength with him coming to us, and now it's just game time that he needs. And I think he'll do well. And he's still got a little bit of Rotherham United with him, because Josh Cale's still there, and he's recently come back from injury too.
Oh.
So he's not completely said goodbye. He's just said goodbye to the red side of it. So yeah, I hope we see him again at some point. Just maybe at one of Kev's Legends Night in 10 years or so, rather than in an opposition shirt.
Yeah. I remember we said we should have kept Georgie in a museum so we could all look at it every game. Kelvin agrees, but it is a great move. I think it is the best move for Georgie. Mick, it is the best move. It's sad when these things happen, but it is the best move, probably all around, actually.
Look, as football supporters, whatever your club, you can look back in your memory bank at those sort of seminal moments throughout your football career, football supporting career, where you can just remember that unbridled joy that a particular moment gives you. We don't have many because we've not won much, but Georgie gave us one of those, and he'll always be remembered for that, won't he? For those of us who were lucky enough to be there at Gillingham that day, I'll never forget it. I'll never ever forget it. And that's what football's about. Those moments, and Georgie gave us one of them. So he'll always be we'll always remember him for that, because you do, don't you? It was just such a magical moment. There's been loads, but and every football fan will have them, and George is one of ours. Yeah.
Yes. Anything else we need to mention? So we'll ask about contract. We'll maybe cover that Thursday because we've got a bit more time. Previewing everything to have a bit more time. But is there anything else we want to mention from the Southampton game? Do you want to give any begrudging praise to Russ Martin finally, Mick?
No.
The hatchet.
I think Mike put in there in the comments earlier on that I don't like him. No, I don't. He's a one-trick pony. Is Russell Martin, and that's his problem. He's a one-trick pony, and he's dropped on his feet because he's inherited a £100 million squad that are capable more often than not of putting into practice what he wants to do. What he wants to do. But if they get promoted, he'll get found out in the Premier League. So yeah, I don't like him. No, I'm not going to give him any. I'm not going to give him any sort of compliments other than the fact that he did us with a long ball goal, which I hope that hurts him a little bit because there weren't 15 passes before. But no, he's, like I said, he's a one-trick pony, this lad, and he's got more hair than me.
Yeah, fair enough. Danny, anything else you want to mention from another defeat?
Well, it was a defeat for Rotherham, but I'd highly recommend people go to the ice hockey at some point because it's mint. It's mint. I went to the Steelers game afterwards, and Steelers won 9-3. And Ray, I will pitch this to you guys and anyone in the comments as well. It says a lot when there's more atmosphere at ice hockey than there is at Rotherham matches.
No,
but they didn't go down 4-0. They didn't go down 1-0 down inside 4 minutes, did they?
Yeah, and that's true. But some of the songs that they play are like more, uplifting. But yeah, and like the pre-game playlist is a lot better as well. But anyway. But yeah, get to a Steelers game because it's really fun. And one of the players is apparently from Rotherham as well. So hey, there you go.
There you go. Can you imagine Mick's face if when he keeps looking for it? He's got to get there first. He's got to get there first. Richard Brown says Kojak got more hair than you, Mick. I don't know who Kojak is.
Not anymore, Ian.
Okay. Should we move on from that?
He's been dead a while. That's probably why.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Like Rotherham's chances of survival. Sorry, that's bad.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we may as well end there. Thank you everyone for being with us again tonight. We will always try and be as positive as we possibly can.
Happy clappers.
Even though it's an absolute shed of a football team at the minute, we'll still keep. Oh, Mike says, when's the beard coming off?
when we win a game.
Picked a stupid season to do this, didn't I? Yeah, it'll come up when we win an away game or the end of the season. I'm not keeping it close to the end of the season because
you're changing goalposts now, are you?
No, I'm pretty sure I said I'll be single if we keep doing this.
Imagine if Matt keeps his beard until the start of August.
Can't be doing that. I can't be doing 40-degree heat with this kind of facial. It's just going to get worse and worse. So, yeah, when the away win comes, whenever that may be, or the end of the season, whichever comes first.
You watch the first away win at season will be at Bristol City, won't it?
Yeah, probably. So yeah, we'll keep coming on. We'll keep trying to be positive. We'll keep trying to have a laugh as best as we can, gallows humour and all that. We will be back on Thursday because we've got a really easy game. Saturday should be absolutely fun. We're away at Leeds United.
Beards off Sunday night.
Here's a question for you, Matt, though, before we go. When we eventually do win away, or it's at the end of the season, will you be shaving it live on the podcast?
I can't. It's probably difficult to host that while I'm shaving, though.
It'd be funny. Me and Matt will just sit in silence, just laughing. You're like going,
if there's enough demand for it, I suppose we could. I'm just looking forward to them. I'm just looking forward to a shave now, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll see what people want, I suppose. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We've got quite a lot on deadline day, so keep subscribing. We'd love to get 1,500 if we can. Shelley asks, are we boycotting Saturday? If so, how come?
I am.
We certainly won't be going. I'm not sure that's a boycott or not, but I certainly won't be paying 45 quid. We'll cover this on Thursday, maybe.
Yeah.
But none of us are going, and I think if you are going, good luck to you.
You've got more money than sense, that's all I'll say.
Yeah. We're not going to. I don't think not going to judge you either way if you're going or not going. Sure.
If you want.
Well, judge people.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. We'll get some words together, and you can tell us on Thursday.
All right. No worries. Yeah.
Sound. I also want to apologize if the editing was a bit off on the last episode for the audio listeners. It was midnight, and I needed to go to bed, so I just put everything in where as close as I could. So apologies about that.
It was probably a bit of anger as well that we'd announced 2 signings after we'd finished as well.
That as well. Yeah. That didn't help. Yes, thank you everybody being with us. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify if that's where you're watching. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and Spotify if you're also watching there as well. Mick, thank you very much for being fun with us. It's something.
I've never been described as fun before.
No, I can imagine.
No.
Danny, thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
We've spin something on it.
Yeah, family therapy once again. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Millers.
Up the Millers.
Into Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Fodringer, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Duffy, he can hit them, and he does. Oh!